Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Death of the Past. Last session, party got back on the river after their encounter with guns, and we're making their lively way down the basin until they found themselves once again surrounded by guns, which this time, instead of wanting to fight, invited the party to embark on a great ritual, some sort of ritual to summon a god, which they either didn't know the details of or were incredibly vague of giving the details of. Now, before we jump back in, we are going to jump over to Zephyrus so we can decide. We already decided. We can show you guys what happened to Zephyrus while Zephyrus was gone and the rest of you were fighting frogs. And if you're wondering why Zephyrus didn't phase out of reality like Zephyrus normally does, don't you question me. I do what I want. And so, Zephyrus, you have brushed aside a few dangling vines, going over to a bush that Azaka told you would have edible berries on it that you could eat for sustenance. Not necessarily good, as they tend to taste like mud and dirt, but edible. Things that will give you nutrients. And as you are picking these berries, you hear something coming from off by the river. It sounds like whistling.
That's fun. Uh, I guess I'm a little worried about like just going and checking that out because it's the jungle. The jungle doesn't like me. Uh, can I make like a stealth check to like see if I can peek?
Hmm?
Yeah, like carefully check it, staying aware of my surroundings.
Go for it. Roll me a steal.
It's 18 plus 5. 23. Thank you. Yeah, 23.
23. Okay, yeah, you slide into the bushes, and as you a little closer to this whistling, it's not particularly skillful whistling, and it often shifts from trying to whistle a tune, one that you're unfamiliar with, to just air. And then as you approach and you're just about to peek through the bushes, you hear a voice and it says, "Oh, I have the wrong mouth for this. Better keep flying away." And then as you peek your head through the bushes, you see a creature sitting on a patch of mud, holding in its hands a bamboo fishing rod that is has a line dangling in the water. This creature has a large shell and leathery, wrinkled skin, and seems to be trying to form its mouth into a way that will whistle, but it doesn't seem to be particularly effective as it tries again and it taps its long claws on the bamboo pole to a rhythm that is unfamiliar to you.
Oh, Turtle Man. What's Turtle Man? I guess he doesn't seem threatening.
What strikes you
Uh,
as really strange is that when it spoke earlier, you understood. It said as if it
Yeah,
was in common.
that's weird.
Odd.
Very strange.
Very odd. That's not normal.
That's not normal. Guess I'll come out of the bushes and carefully like make my way over and be like, hello. Pardon me. I heard you whistling over here. Are you lost?
It turns towards you and then blinks its eyes and then
Who lost?
smiles
Who
with this expression. And it says, Me lost? I was about to ask you the same question. I am right where I want to be. Like you.
Yeah. Um, I sorry, I'm just a bit taken aback. I haven't run into many a friendly face in the jungle lately.
Oh, the jungle has many faces, although very few of them are friendly, as you say.
Right. Um, uh, sorry, I'm just perplexed. Um, I'm Zephyrus. What what might you be doing out here?
Oh, me, am fishing. And as you noted, trying very well, but trying to whistle. Very difficult
Ah,
when you don't have lips.
It's doing
That-
so well.
that would cause an issue. It seems. Uh, fishing. Strange. Do you live out here?
In the jungle? You could say I do. What about you?
No, I'm just passing through. Making my way along. Have a group I'm with, I suppose. Just stepped off to find some provisions. I don't know. It's so like caught off guard.
Um, this old creature looks towards you and it says, Well, if you're searching for provisions, come sit for a while. I have seen many things in my day. It might be of some assistance to you.
All right, I suppose. I guess we're still going to sit.
Coming closer to this creature, you can see that next to it they have a pack that has been placed off to the side with straps that are much larger than would fit over a normal humanoid in order to get around the shell. And there are various backup fishing lines attached to it, a rope, as well as large, like incredibly large straw tied to the back of this pack.
A large what? Say that one more time.
Straw hat, garden hat. It has a little flower, one that looks similar to the ones that were around Oralunga, orchid, placed into the brim.
Huh. Interesting. So confused. Um, how how have you gotten along in Schultz? Seems to be in quite unforgiving landscape, but you seem to be doing quite well.
Ooh. He chuckles and he says, The jungle may seem unforgiving. And he puts a basket next to him. if you look a little deeper, you'll find that she always provides for her own. Sometimes you have to look below the surface. And as he says this, he sudden flick pulls the rod up and takes a small fish off, opens the basket and kicks it inside for casting
Yeah.
again.
I'm in love with him.
Best turtle man. Zephyrus just kind of watches for a bit.
Ask him about his flower. I want to know what's up with it.
Okay. It's a lovely hat you got there. I feel like I've seen flowers close to that. Do I know if like have I seen those types of flowers anywhere besides with Orlonga or no?
You've seen them throughout Cholt in various places in much higher concentration near Orlonga than in other places, but it's not uncommon to see flowers amidst the jungle.
That makes sense.
And he looks down at it and he says, "Okay, it is orchid, one of the jungle's rare beauties. It was quite a nice find to discover this."
A what orchid? Sorry.
You just said orchid.
Oh, okay. I thought there was an adjective before that. My bad.
Yes, quite lovely. Seems to have been keeping up well.
Oh, yes, yes. The jungle provides for her own.
Hmm.
And beauty has a way of outlasting even the harshest circumstances.
Suppose that's true. I guess Zephyrus kind of like sits and thinks for a bit.
Oh, tell me, young man, why are you here in the jungle?
Um, well, I suppose there's quite a lot of reasons now, but the original was we were going to stop the death curse.
Considers whether or not you're gonna qualify real factual.
Yeah. I have a
Wow.
friend who's being affected by it, and seems to be a pressing issue.
Hmm, sounds very noble of you.
Right. It's been going interestingly so far.
He reels back in another fish slowly, and he says, "Interesting. Do elaborate."
Well, he points to his eye patch. That for one.
He died.
Really died several
The
times.
British.
Um,
He
well, there's been
says, so that is a recent injury then.
ish. Yes.
And what did you learn from it?"
What's the right word? Oh, I suppose I learned that I'm not invincible, like I thought I was.
A harsh lesson to learn.
Right. Unfortunate.
Oh, what will you do with it?
Be more careful. I believe that's the best option to go with. But other than that, I suppose rely on or help others and rely on others and know that I can't do everything by myself.
Uh, now that's a powerful lesson indeed. And he turns towards you and he says, "You are a noble young man, it would seem.
Say that
Just
one.
you are a noble. Just remember that it is when times get most difficult that you need to look for the orchids among the leaves."
I will
And
do
then
so.
you blink and he's gone.
Oh, okay.
Ben's just left. What? He's gone.
What?
Zephyrus just hallucinated himself therapy.
Literally.
And your boy needs it. He deserves it.
Uh, is the orchid still there?
It is.
I'm gonna take that.
All right. You pick up a blue orchid.
Blue orchid. Put it in my hair.
Okay.
Yes. Truly. You're correct.
All right.
Only love for them.
And then we are going to jump back to everybody else. Where you are right now, surrounded by grungs. Moving on down the river. Well, it's not the river, it's the basin. River somewhere else. He left the river behind. Anyway, um, so you follow their gesturing as you have now agreed. Follow these grungs surrounding you, and you continue until the sun dips below the horizon, and you're still you've been on your canoes, and the grungs have just been swimming in front of you, and they swim back over and poke something entirely unintelligible to you.
Marcy's just like squinting at these things. I'm very interested in how they're moving. But I have nothing of value to communicate to them, or apparently that they have to communicate to me. So I just sort of look with confusion in the direction of Div and then in the direction of Kalota.
Are we still mentally connected to them? I'm assuming not.
Yeah, you can reconnect though as just an action if you want.
Okay, can I do that really quick?
Yep. So the one in the lead says the one whose name is oh no wait, this is no, that's not his name. His name is that's right. His name is Rort. And
My man,
he's
who I love with my whole soul.
and as you mentally reconnect, he says, "Yes, for the day. We will stop here for the night."
Sick. Okay, Kaylona's gonna tell everyone that we're stopping to sleep.
We shall reach.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I did not hear what you just said.
Yeah,
All I
was that
heard was
supposed
sorry.
to tell us? Or you just
Your
like,
mic did the thing again for like all of that.
Yeah.
Mess with more
Your
settings
mic just
later.
doesn't like your frog voice.
I think
Uh,
it doesn't like that you're really close to the mic and speaking really loudly, so the mic itself is peaking. I don't know though.
he says,
nope,
begin the ritual.
nope.
Dungrunglung is not supposed to make sense.
We just don't
Uh,
record the rest of the session at all.
Oh my gosh. Did he just say, well, I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't know what he said.
yeah, so
I'm assuming he said like tomorrow we'll reach the city and start the ritual.
that's what he said.
Okay,
They said,
Great.
that's what I gathered, but the
Because I
actual
just heard
words, like
start
the
the
flavor,
ritual,
was lost
and
in
I was like,
translation.
are we starting the
Yeah.
ritual right now? That would not be good. So
You're
great.
like, that's not cool.
Cool, great. We're taking a long rest. Being held hostage by frogs.
Little tiny frogs.
Yeah, for
Yay.
real.
I've been
Don't-
held hostage by words. That's
don't-
not true actually. Div has not been held hostage by
Don't
pretty much
kill us
anybody.
this time, please.
You just say that, Jasper.
Yes.
Big broken response.
Okay.
Can they understand us?
Sorry, did you ask me that?
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know. So she asks, she's like, can you understand us when I'm not speaking with you telepathically?
Ooh. Oh, the words make no sense.
It's
I'm
fine.
sorry, did you say your words sound like music?
He said they make no sense.
Oh, okay, sick. So she turns to Mark. You are currently.
Yes, I'm currently Mars, yes.
Yes, there we go. Okay. She's like,
Mark.
he doesn't understand us at all in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, perfect.
It's fine. Give me like a long rest and like a minute, and I will. Sorry, 3 minutes, and I will have a solution.
Give me like a long rest and a specific dream, and I'll have a solution.
And a specific dream.
Give me another level and I might have a solution.
All right, so
Yay,
with
Bard.
that, they seem to have no desire, any ideas whatsoever to let you get back to shore. So you're kind of stuck on the canoes tonight, floating out in the middle of the water.
That's fine. I
Am
said
Am I
take a
sitting
break.
next to
I don't remember. I feel like you were next to. I know you were next to Zephyrus.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was also with Div or not.
I know Kalona's right next to Nephis.
I think
And was
Div
his
was
last
in the
one?
boat with Nephis and Kalona because they were fighting over like across him for a little
That's
bit.
right. That's
and then
right.
Kalona like mind talked to him and he was like,
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
That's right. So then you are not legally Marcia Snow.
Cool. That's all right. We're sleeping on the boats. It's sensationally somewhat akin to sleeping on the airship. In the sense of the ground ain't there, Chief. It is not there.
Sure ain't.
And that sort of unsettlement to the every shift as we're trying to sleep ends up making its way into Marcius's dreams. And he dreams that he's flying in the form of a rabbit with wings. And he wakes up and it's Mirasandra now. She's here. She's back.
Yay.
So throughout the night, you all experience what can only be described as an incredibly uncomfortable sleep for those of you that sleep, which is everybody but Div. And
Wait.
Ow.
Kaylona's kind of used to like being on the water, so can we assume that that's like semi-comforting to her? Like she's used to rocking back and forth, but not so much used to being cramped in a canoe with a giant metal person.
Div
like
is
the
a space heater. He is comforting and warm.
Okay, that's fair. That is fair.
I will not
so
take
you
this
are
lightly.
here, but and you're coming all fit in this boat, but you also have, I think, did you guys have Azaka with you?
Yes.
I think you did.
Yeah.
And Azaka is really tall. So but she just kind of like slump into the side there, and you all try to fit in. Um, and you just, first it's not, I mean, the noise seems to be a little bit louder on the water with the insects buzzing right all around you, but you're listening close to Div, so it's okay tomorrow. And you, as you're experiencing that, it's going like okay, and you start to nod off when all of a sudden the frogs that aren't on watch start to snore. Instead of snoring, it's deafeningly loud croak, several of them at once. It lasts for 30 seconds before cutting out, and then slowly building up to a crescendo over and over again, overlapping. You've heard this noise far out in the distance for shows. It is incredibly loud. To make the night even less comfortable, the rain continues off and on as it normally does in Jolt, meaning that there's more than one time where you have to get up and shovel water out of your canoes, which the way that the grungs exchange, they seem to find hilarious.
Mirasandra wakes up at this like absolute just like cacophony of sounds. And she looks like she's enjoying it. She's kind of like nodding her head a bit, and then she like looks around at Zephyrus, who's like probably just like dead staring into the room with just like an absolute disdain on his face, and everybody else who looks horribly uncomfortable. And I'm gonna tinker for a bit, and I'm gonna make like makeshift earplugs. They don't work very well, but I do give them to everyone. Thank you.
All right, so yeah, after you give them to everybody, the noise for the rest of you seems to fade a bit, and you're able to see, being actually out on the basin without the trees in the way, you're able to see several of Eberron's moons up above you, and through the end stars. And despite trying to ignore the croaks, trying to stay steady on this tiny little space that you've been cramped into, you do all manage to eventually drift to sleep. You woken in the morning by one particularly long and loud croak that pierces its way through the earplugs, and then Zephyrus, Mirasandra, and Jasper, your canoe almost tips
Oh
as
God.
it rocks violently, and you wake up to see that the orange-skinned Grung is standing on their hands on his hips, uh, chest, stomach, and just help me out, reptile people. What's the name for that thing that frogs have?
Uh,
Neck sack.
Which thing?
The neck thing, the thing that croaks.
the sack.
Sack.
The neck sack. The neck
Next.
sack.
As it expands, massively letting out this huge throat over and over again, just right on top of you, releasing with it the scent of rotten insects and old fish.
Uh,
Well, there's no need to be quite so rude.
uh,
It's nice to meet you. I'm Mirasandra.
Zephyrus like rolls over onto his stomach so that he's face down in the bottom of the canoe.
It lets out another couple of croaks, waking everybody up. And it's like purposely tilting your canoe back and forth. It seems to have been kind of distracted by it. And then
Jester's
it-
trying to like
Are the
counteract
two boats
the
close
tilt.
enough that like
counter
Div
the
could
tilt.
lean over and like touch him in some way?
You'd have to move the canoe if you wanted to touch that.
I'm probably the one paddling the canoe, so I'm going to do that. Like there is just so much noise that this is the clearest that Div has ever seen ever.
He is crystal clear in front of you. This you don't know he's orange, but this frog creature.
Yeah, I will row the canoe up to where I can reach over, as if I'm like shaking his hand, and be like, "Good morning. I believe we should officially introduce ourselves."
Looks at your outstretched hand, and then it pulls out a spear and points it directly towards your hand and lets out a series of long, loud throats, and then gestures in the air with his hands, puts it back down towards your hand.
I don't think he liked that.
The range of the spell is touch. Can I like lean even further and like just kind of like barely like
Just
just enough so I can touch him, so I can cast tongues.
Pretend to trip.
You want to touch him, you can.
Yeah,
Try
don't.
to. He's not gonna let you.
I'm not trying to be threatening. I know I look threatening. However, I'm not trying to be threatening.
I could try to tell him to hold still, to chill out for a second.
Yeah, Div, like he'll sit there with his hand still outstretched for a second, and then pull it back and kind of look at it, and then he'll turn his head towards Kelowna and be like, "Can you please explain to him that there is a spell that will let us understand each other? However, I do need to make physical contact in some way."
Okay.
Okay. I'm assuming the connection thing lost. So can she reconnect for a second and just convey? She's basically gonna say, my friend here, it has magic and can make it easier for us to understand one another. He just needs to touch your hand.
Creature kind of its eyes, which is something that it can't actually do with its eyes, as its eyelids can't really do that, as they just occasionally like flick across. And it just like, but it just like the way that it like hunches its shoulders and like stares forward is kind of the same gesture, and then
Frogs have eyelids.
it like holds its hand towards you.
Div will reach out and very gently shake it, and I will cast tongues.
You are also going to make me a Constitution saving throw.
Great.
Oh no, he's poisoned.
Is it
He's
against
bright
being
orange in a
poisoned because I
jungle. What
cannot
did you
be
think?
poisoned?
Yeah.
Is it against being poisoned because I have advantage on those throws?
Yeah, it is. You'll have your
Cool.
resistances.
Please. God, God forbid women do anything.
Giant metal lizard.
That's an 8. However, I'm resistant to poison damage.
Yeah, it's not damage. So, Div, you are going to be poisoned. It's going to give you disadvantage on yes.
Ouch.
I basically can't be poisoned, and yet here we are.
So, as you create,
It's anti-forge cleric. You're not a forge cleric. It's anti-forge individual.
Life cleric.
Yeah.
Div, as you touch this creature, your hand comes off, and you can see that on it there's this sticky, slimy residue that is on your hand, and as it evaporates from the heat that's on you, and you accidentally breathe it in, and your system just like visibly, all you can hear is joints like creak and groan aggressively. All of a sudden, as this toxin echoes through your system, billowing out in steam, but you do get your cast off of tongues.
Great. I'm not trying. Of course, it's a poison dart frog. It can't just be a regular frog.
I'm gonna kind of frown, look over at Div, who's making strange noises.
Me when my car starts making expensive sounds.
That's not normal. Hold on. I'm gonna reach out and I'm gonna slap him on the shoulder. And I'm also leaning across the new chasm. I'm gonna cast Lesser Restoration.
All right, Div, you are unpoisoned.
Yay!
No more poison.
Does that feel better? I've been practicing that one. And she's like, she has her puzzle box in her other hand and is like flicking it. And each time she flicks it, like you feel a different sensation, and then it finally like settles into a specific pattern, and her ears go like floof up a little bit. And then that like sensation clears from your system. She says, "Okay, did that one work?"
You hear Div's internal mechanisms pause for a second, and then they seem to stop shuddering and grinding together so much. And he kind of relaxes a little bit. He says, "Yes, that feels much better. Thank you."
Yeah, no problem. This guy looks a little similar to someone I met once. But that's a story for another time. I'm sure we're all quite busy. What was it that you did?
Well, assuming everything worked as planned, we should all be able to understand each other now. And then he'll look back at the frog. Hello. Did it work?
It didn't work.
Yeah, your mic did not like any of that.
He says, "You speak now."
No, nothing.
He said we speak the language of grungs now, I'm pretty sure.
Oh. Great.
It's okay, I can
this also
speak
looks
sensory
exciting.
processing disorder.
Mirror makes a few experimental croaking sounds.
No, Mira, we just need to speak, and he will be able to understand us.
Mystically, though, this is very interesting. If I'm croaking and he hears croaking when I speak, if I croak, does he also hear croaking, or does he hear instead the common language? Sir, you look like you're in charge. Could you perhaps answer this question for me? If I make this sound and then she croaks, do you understand?
I believe tongues just works on you, right, Div?
The spell grants the creature you touch the ability to understand any spoken language it hears. Moreover, when the target speaks, any creature that knows at least one language can hear the target.
Okay, so
and
it can
hear the
understand.
target understands what it says.
It just like it looks at you and says, "What?" Very rude. You know now.
I
He
apologize.
backflips over the boat.
Oh, okay. Goodbye.
It's like flips drastically forward, and you guys are like splash the end backwards into the water.
Scott, I really wish I had any idea what you were saying, or what he was saying, or what was going on right now. I really wish I could understand what you were talking about.
So basically, what just happened is the grung backflipped off the boat, which sent the boat rocking and sent water splashing up onto you guys in the boat as the boat rocked
Okay,
and hit the water.
What did he say?
That was
You
very
s-
rude.
You said something extremely rude, and he ran away.
I'm starting to think you guys also have audio struggles because I feel like everyone else understands before you do. What I say.
Well, I can hear everyone else, so
Everyone else is
My brain doesn't work with audio in general, so I've gotten very good at discerning what people are saying from no input whatsoever.
Just knows.
So that's my
Anyways,
secret.
this is like a GAI system where he just never mind, I'm not gonna make it continuous. Literally no one cares. Moving on. Here's like notes that croaking noise that she made and like stows it away for later in case she needs to make that sound.
Curses in languages I don't know, and it's a really long list.
Yeah, no, exactly. You laugh, but it's exactly that. She actually pulled out her notebook, which is a little bit wet. It's very wet. It's quite damp. And like carefully flips to a page that's labeled curses in languages I don't know. And writes and like in this very strange phonetic shorthand, like spells out this croaking noise, and then claps the book shut. She says, I'm feeling a little fuzzy. Maybe I slept late, or slept a little longer. Where are we right now? What are we doing?
Frog Kingdom.
We're going to the kingdom of the Grungs to summon a goddess. So, Mirasandra, I care about you. Please don't ever make those sounds ever again.
Oh, don't worry.
Especially when we get in the middle of a land full of grungs.
Frogs want to kill us.
They-
We don't help them. So
They,
you still face down.
yeah.
Mirasandra,
We almost didn't make it out of our last encounter. I can't imagine an entire society of them would let us even close to walk away.
Mirasandra, like, she gives like a floppy salute. It looks like a child's approximation of what Marcy's salute might look like, but she doesn't even seem to be aware that she's doing it. And she says, "You got it. I'll make sure to be on my best behavior. Make sure they like us. I'm so excited. What goddess is this?"
Frog.
Frog
Frog.
goddess.
A goddess of frogs.
I
Do
didn't really
just
get a
goddess of
chance
frogs?
to talk. I didn't get a chance to talk further. Kelowna did most of the talking to start with.
You let Kelowna talk? That's exciting. Kelowna, how was it? I heard you speak like maybe 10 to 20 words.
I am so sorry.
Kelowna just like shrugs and she's like, I think that is it's almost like speaking to someone that is incredibly dense and also 6 years old.
Felix trying to talk to the skeleton. Anyway, moving on.
I just want to be clear that because David has tongues on this guy, he can understand every word you're saying.
Oh,
I-
God.
I don't think Kaylana would have worded it any differently anyway.
No, and to be honest, it doesn't really process in his head anyway. He doesn't do anything. Just
Yeah,
reminded you.
exactly. Because he is incredibly
Like
dull
talking-
and 6 years old.
Randomly intelligence modifier of maybe 6. I mean, an intelligence score of maybe 6. Yurika just sort of nods. She says, I'm experienced with that. That's what talking to normal rabbits is like.
Normal rabbits?
Normal rabbits that aren't me.
Oh. It's too early for this. I will.
Zephyrus, we're talking to frog people. I don't think Mirasandra talking to regular rabbits is that strange.
Well, that's fair. That makes sense.
She like leans over to like poke at the flower in your hair, and the flower pattern over her eye shifts to match it. She says, I like this. They make good designs of the plants around here.
Thank you. Turtle gave it to me.
A turtle? We have frogs and turtles. Someone mentioned a snail, or maybe I just dreamed it.
Mirasandra, as you switch the pattern to that in your eye patch, there's just like a slight fuzz that goes through you for a second. The heat of the jungle isn't uncomfortable. The noises are familiar, and the water seems to be something that you're intimately comfortable with and familiar with before it shifts to your perception of it being bright and new, like normal.
Ooh, interesting.
Is the orchid still like vibing?
It is.
The one that sick. Zephyrus is gonna like poke at it a little bit. Oh, that's funny. Is Azaka in our boat or is she in the other boat?
He, I think, is in the other one.
Nice.
There's the business boat and the party boat.
For real.
Which one is which? We will never know.
Every boat with Jasper's the party boat. There's no doubt about that.
Zephyrus, I guess, is gonna turn to Azaka and be like, Azaka, do you know anything about these flowers? A turtle gave it to me.
He looks towards you, kind of nervously at the lots of things surrounding you, and she says, they are jungle orchids. We can find them often in the jungle. They are, well, that particular strain of flower is rare, but not so rare that it is impossible to find, if that makes sense in your language.
That makes sense. Interesting. You know anything about weird hallucinatory turtles?
Oh, did the turtle disappear?
Yes.
That happens sometimes. I wouldn't worry about it.
Does it? You know, I don't personally. I've never experienced this before. So
Well, this is exciting. Your very first disappearing turtle. I would like to hear about how it works in Shop.
Out of everything we've experienced, a disappearing turtle doesn't seem that weird. Giant floating stone heart, big snail thing, apparently. Frogs that tried to kill us now want us to go find a goddess. Weird temple thing that required us to swallow a snake and be a snake to go talk to a
Can we
snake.
not bring that up, please? Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. A disappearing turtle is honestly the most normal thing we've probably any of us have experienced so far.
It was very strange. I don't think you understand. It was very odd.
Are you sure you're feeling all right?
I'm feeling just. I'm tired, is all. There was a turtle. Which is strange and unusual to me, and I think that maybe the jungle is starting to get to me. Maybe I'm.
That's strange. Most of the turtles I meet are quite rude.
Azaka, do any of these flowers have hallucinogenic effects?
Those particular flowers, no. I mean, there are several. Well, of course, there is and monkey fever could induce hallucinations, but that doesn't produce from a flower. Well, it is, but not that flower. There is, well, you could get all manner of diseases. Shivering sickness can often induce that. If you were to get jackally venom injected into you, that would probably induce hallucinations. There are many things that could cause you to hallucinate.
Zephyrus, are you feeling a little
Writing
monkey-like?
this down.
You feeling kind of monkey-ish?
No, I don't think I've been bitten or scratched or anything. I think I'm all right. Nope.
The turtle sounds like a species that I've heard rumors of. A species called turtles, but humanoid shelled creatures similar to tortoises, but I have never seen them personally. If they are there, they're not, and if they're in the jungle, there aren't a lot of them. They're not unheard of.
Yes, that makes sense. It seemed very odd that he was in the jungle. Didn't seem to be bothered by anything really. He had a straw hat and a fishing pole. So strange.
Melisandre flips to another page in her journal and starts jotting this down. This does remind me of a folk tale I heard.
Oh,
It was a very long time ago. I'm not entirely certain what realm of your whole mortal politics and the lines you've been drawing everywhere. I'm not entirely certain which of those areas it did hail from. But a straw hat on a turtle anyway is just quite an interesting visual.
right,
He continues like that.
right. He was very endearing, I would say. Anyway, it's not important right now. Now we're going to Frog Town,
The
apparently.
important thing is frog tail.
Is the orange leader still close by?
He's in front of the lead canoe, yes.
I'm sure if his 6-year-old brain could understand any of the things we were saying, his faith in us being strong warriors would be like plummeting immediately.
Yes.
Listen, he is a
I-
proud and strong 5 years old. Thank you very much.
I want to talk with him.
Like,
Like,
weirded out by the fact that, like, he's never met me before, slash, Marcius is just gone, or does he not care?
I don't think he can
May not
comprehend
He may
that.
not even notice. That's fair.
No. He's like, yeah, they were always there. What are you talking about? Um,
It's so convenient. He gaslights himself.
so yeah, Jasper, go for it. You can talk to him if you want.
hello, sir. My name's Jasper, and then like out of habit, he reaches his hand out and then like quickly moves it to a salute after remembering whatever it did to Div made him go ow. And you are
It doesn't really seem to notice that you're talking to it first.
excuse me, hello.
When you do that, it turns around
Uh,
and like blinks at you while still swimming.
sir or ma'am, my name is Jasper. I was just curious, how much further until we arrive at our destination?
We'll be soon.
How
We
soon?
must keep going. Soon enough.
Another sunset soon. Another sun in the middle of the sky soon. Another moon soon.
If you judge it by leaps, there are another 600 leaps.
How do you convert that to steps? I don't leap very far. Like, are we talking my leaps or your leaps? Because I don't leap very far.
Leaps, obviously.
Oh, okay. Jasper just like starts counting on his fingers.
We had to approximate that to like say 30 feet per 6 seconds.
And do you have any information on to why we are being summoned?
You are my warriors.
Wish I knew what you were saying.
We
We are
are
mighty warriors, is what he said.
Oh, okay.
mighty warriors. Yes, but why did you call for us?
You are mighty warriors.
What do you want us to do?
Help with the ritual.
What's the ritual?
It's the ritual.
How do we perform the ritual?
By performing the ritual.
You know.
Hey, Lona yells back and well, I don't know. Are they in the same boat? I can't remember.
No, you're in different boats.
Do you know
Okay, she yells back because she can hear, and she's like, "Welcome to my last like 4 hours."
It's okay. I got this. Don't worry. You can see Jasper start sweating.
Even more than he already was.
Oh, even more than he already does. Okay.
You got this, friend. You got this, buddy.
What does the ritual do?
Yes, no, man.
Why do you want us to summon the goddess? I did not catch that.
I wish I knew what you were saying.
Ingr wants us to summon the goddess. And so we will.
Who wants us to summon the goddess?
The grung.
Oh, just the grung want us. Okay.
Is the king's name,
Oh yeah, that's right.
which sounds very similar to Grung, so I can see how that would be confusing. But Grung's vocabulary has there's like three
It's like
letters in the
There's like
alphabet.
three
So
sounds, and one of them is G. The three sounds are G, U, and R. So good luck. Grog. Do you know why he wants the goddess?
I am not the one performing the ritual. Mighty king of the Grungs, future summoner of the god, and he just keeps going on and on and on and on for like a solid 5 minutes, describing the king. Sways.
Huh. Well, at least I'll be very familiar with who the king is when I see them.
this is great.
And he says, "No,
But
No.
what?
But
you must faster."
What?
Yeah, it's tilted.
He just starts swimming away.
Oh, I wasn't okay. Didn't catch anything, any of the last like 3 sentences that he said. Scott's mic was just like, "Hey, you want information?" No.
it's okay. I feel like that's where we were going anyway. That's like I feel like that's any conversation with the grungs anyway.
Oh boy. It's just turned back at the rest of the group. Guys, I got nothing. There's, I guess, a king that wants a goddess, and that's it.
Good effort.
I think we're like 580 hops away now. I'm not sure.
Hops or leaps? This is a very important distinction, I feel like.
I don't know if he knew the difference.
Marissa just stares after these like the frog as its back is like swimming away and goes, "It must be so quiet in their little heads. Nothing going on." I'm a little jealous, honestly. You think it hurts less?
Probably.
It hurts them less, yes.
Not us.
He just like starts rubbing his temples. Is that what it's like trying to talk to me?
No, Jasper.
no. Trust
Okay.
me, Jasper, you are much easier to talk to.
Got it.
Marissa just frowns. I miss talking to rabbits. When I'm free of all this, and she like gestures, It's going to be quite lovely. I do promise that I'll visit.
Right. Do you talk to many rabbits?
I used to.
Ah,
It was sort of,
Do they talk back?
well, usually yes, unless I said something rude. Or there was that time that I did accidentally take one of their stores of carrots for the winter, and we just weren't on speaking terms for the next little while. It went for quite a century. I had this little feud going with this specific group of rabbits that were in Maine. We went back and forth on it though, and I think the newest ones have forgiven me, although I haven't been back to the area in quite a long time.
interesting. Quite interesting. Were you also a rabbit at this time?
I could be
or-
whatever I wanted. I wouldn't call myself a rabbit, just as I wouldn't necessarily call myself a human. Just as I not necessarily would call myself a star. You know how it is.
Interesting. Not sure I quite understand, but that sounds quite nice, actually.
You have one form and one life to use it with.
True.
One true dream, many true dreams along the way to get there. It's quite beautiful. I much prefer to help you along the way than figure out any of that nonsense much for myself.
Do
The
you have a
frogs,
dream?
though, do you think they have the capability of storing carrots?
They probably store other food, not carrots. I don't think they eat carrots.
Oh,
I am not entirely sure that frogs are capable of that much organization.
I mean, frogs probably are, but grungs definitely not.
David's like looking out, like as best as he can at the frogs that he can see, just kind of studying them the same way Mirisandra kind of is, and kind of rubbing his medallion. And he just goes, I'm also not entirely sure they are capable of a fully formed religion.
Being a goddess, that seems pretty fully formed to me.
do you have does a goddess do you have to be religious to have a goddess? I don't
The gods function off of belief. Without belief, there is no God. Or at
This
least
is true.
that is how most of the religions I've encountered work.
Ah. Sorry, I'm not really a man of the cloth myself, so I'm not quite sure how it works, but I suppose that makes sense.
Can I like um think really hard at Boldre and just be like, hey, is there a frog goddess that I didn't like know about? Like is like, hey mom.
Sure, go ahead and make me a religion check, I guess.
Well,
I'm just gonna I mean, no. Um 6.
You get back what is essentially the divine version of a shrug.
You know what? Fair enough. That's about what I expected.
Certain about that theorem of belief, Div. Just out of curiosity, because are you saying your gods were not present before you, as in your mortal capacity to understand that they could be there, was around? They were born?
Well, the figures themselves are, how do I say this? New, maybe? In my belief, at least, in the Everhearth, it is more a concept than a person. Boldre and the Everhearth, they are community. They are the warmth that you feel around the hearth. The they are that sense of connection between us all. So Boldre is less a physical thing that you can speak to and more just always there. Whether those concepts always existed before we could put a name to them or not, I'm not entirely sure. But I know without community, there would be no them, and without community, there would be no us.
Well stated. What about the others? The others in your pantheon, but the ones that aren't either. And she's sort of not looking at you or really at anything. She's like, the ones of blood and the flame that burns forever. Will it ever go out?
I cannot speak for sure on how the religions of others work. I have not done that much study. I've been very busy. But I would assume it works the same. I mean, there is no religion without faith.
Be sure to chase yourself. I see what you're saying then. You think that the frogs, because they're not capable of retaining a particularly fully formed thought for very long, are therefore not capable of long-term belief, which I think is perhaps judgmental of the frogs. But this remains to be seen. I'm very excited to test this anthropological theory.
I'm not going to comment on this theoretical structure on the, I hesitate to call it civilization of the frogs. Anyone can believe or approach belief of whatever they would like. If they have an actual goddess, good for them.
Now, I've been
If
around
not,
your towering cities and your wide islands were just little stone and stick huts laid up against each other, all right? There's many different ways civilization can form.
well, I
So
wouldn't.
does the act of belief require a god to already exist, or does the act of believing in something create that god into existence?
Are they synonymous?
If
Perhaps
I
they
start
have
believing in
intent.
something that a god does not exist for, does it in turn create one, or does that role get filled by another god?
It is more putting a name to a concept.
Is it associating someone who already exists with a concept, or is it creating a name for a concept that does not already have one associated with it?
Do I know?
Sorry, I was not
where...
religious.
Does Div know where the name Boldre came from? Can he answer that?
Roll me a religion check. Let's see.
Oh, because I've been rolling really well today. No.
Woo!
If you reach back, and while you have the majority of your memories restored, this a lot of the details are foggy, and so the specifics and the origins of Bouldre are something that you've never really sat down and studied, like the theological doctrine of. It's more something that you've lived since you came back the first time, and so the when it comes to the specific doctrines and details of that, what scholars of the sovereign would say isn't really something that you know. It's kind of beyond you. You have always followed based more off of feeling.
Yeah.
And then also the magic that you cast. You do know, you are aware that when you cast magic, it does come directly from her.
Right. There is a thing there. It's just I don't know whether like Div doesn't know whether like Boldre was a person or not.
Yeah, you're not aware of the historical origins of Bouldre. All you know is Bouldre as she is now, which is like the idea that's as much a concept as it is a person. And while it is a being that, Div has prayed to and communicated to before, it's also just the idea of community, like you were saying. And so, yeah, it's not something you're super like when you get into like the detailed historical accounts of worship of Bouldre, you just don't know.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. Um, Div thinks for a moment, taps his medallion. He says, I don't know. I would have to study that when we return. I would assume we took inspiration from somewhere for names, but I cannot tell you what it is.
Some learning to look forward to then. A new dream. I like it.
Yeah. Thank you, Div. I
Of course.
sorry if it made you uncomfortable.
I am always happy to speak of Boldre and the Everhearth.
Well, maybe when we're in a safer location, you can teach me some more.
I would be delighted to.
We're bonding, guys.
I slap you. No, that is a joke. I did not actually do that.
Jasper bonds with the whole party.
Slap you want to. He's sleepy.
I love how you guys have like the most calm conversation, like the most like chill conversation when you're actively surrounded by hostile features.
That's just how it is. That's just real life, baby.
Yeah.
What you don't know is we're panicking.
This is my work day.
Yeah, no, same. Literally.
All right, so as you continue to move forward, you get closer to the edge of the basin, and it starts to shrink up. All this foliage floating out on the edge starts to come closer, and the river gets less clear, but they don't seem to know where they're going. As they continue to pull you forward, there are a couple times where this orange one in the lead goes off like in one direction, then one of the other green ones swims up to it, and the orange one comes back and changes directions to where the green ones were going. And as you continue to move forward until eventually the river that you're on becomes more of a trickle of water coming out of the basin, and the trees loom much closer off in the distance. And it becomes more of a marshy swamp type area instead of this almost lake-like structure that the majority of the basin was, until you can see that rising up just in front of the trees, off in the distance, is this circular area which seems to be surrounded by neatly trimmed hedges that rise 15 feet up into the air.
I think we're here.
Frogtown?
Or someone's been doing some gardening. Maybe it was the turtle.
It could have been the turtle. He could have had a green thumb.
So the grung get up and they start moving forward, and at this point, you have to drag your canoes behind you, and you start getting close to this wall, and you can see that the wall of shrubbery is covered in thorns. Well, I should say it's made of thorns, not covered in them. The vines themselves are covered in these thick, spiny thorns. And on top of that, you can see that on the outside of this maze, there are bones that seem to be just sitting in the edge of this maze, clean. Some of them humanoid, some of them alien. There is only one entryway that you can see, which
Can
the
I?
grung. Yeah, what's up?
I'm wondering, can I pull off one of those thorns? Like how long you said thick and spiky, is that it's like a foot long sort of a situation, or is that like it's 3 inches long? What's the vibe?
Yeah, so the individual thorns are about 3 inches, but there are a lot of them covering this maze, which you can see as a maze when you come closer to the entrance, as there seems to be this interlocking mix of passageways that all shift around.
Shift around as in they're actively moving, or
Yes.
oh great. Mirasandra's eyes sparkle.
This is ominous.
This is incredible. Do you see those bones? What lovely placement. I certainly wouldn't want to invite visitors here.
Mirasandra, if we're not careful, those will be our bones.
If you understand that we are the visitors in this situation, we could become the bone.
You could always become the bones. It's the process of getting there that matters. Look
I don't want to become the bones.
We're walking towards this. I want to pick off like a handful of thorns, maybe like 6 of them.
Mira, this is the journey to becoming the bone.
I'm having a far better time of it than the rest of you, it seems like.
It seems like.
Mira,
Here, Sandra, I've already left
have
some.
what is called self-preservation instincts.
I've already left some of my bones in this jungle. I plan on taking the rest of them home with me.
I don't want to give any bones to the jungle.
Marisandra
Yeah,
moves
it's
her
not fun,
which
Zephyrus.
is her not real leg.
Yes.
Just
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Oh.
Rip.
Oh. Gone.
gone.
Oh, they're
Ooh,
back.
Are you back?
Oh, our internet connection
Is it
unstable.
unstable?
Oh, that's so fun.
Ooh.
Can you hear us?
Yep.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened before. Okay, it says
Okay.
we have okay.
All right.
We went through a weird patch.
Did you guys go through a tunnel?
I guess.
Again. What was the last thing you saying? What last bullshit did you hear from my mouth?
You were waving your leg.
Oh yeah. I wave my leg around. Like
Jasper just waves the arm that you built for him. Yeah, I've experienced it once. I don't want to feel it again.
limb buddies. And she elbows you.
He
said-
with his leg kicks your real bumps your real leg. Yeah. Yeah.
She grins. To everyone else, she says, listen, I'm very old. All right. I would not like to die here. I'm sure the rest of you wouldn't like to die here, but if I did, it would be one adventure that I haven't had yet.
Oh,
And we're going in anyway, so we might as well have a good time about it. And then she starts moving towards the entryway, assuming there's a frog in front of her leading the way.
And behind you, yes.
Yeah, okay, great.
Cool.
Great.
Yeah, we are surrounded by frogs
Fun.
with spears.
As we're going,
Yay.
can I identify the creature of origin of each of the things in the walls?
Yeah, you can go for that.
dead. All of them
Do I have to
dead.
roll to do it with like an unnerving amount of accuracy, or can I just?
Yes, you will. Let's see. Go ahead, and I will say you can make me a medicine check for the humanoid bones, or a survival check for the non-humanoid bones, or nature will work as well for that.
Cool. Let me check Mirasandra's proficiencies because she has different ones than everyone else.
Human bones.
Great. I got a 19.
Okay, so you are looking and you see that as you move into this maze, it's kind of like shifts and stays for about 5 minutes, and then the inside shifts again. You guys are moving through these circular passage, like it's a circular passageway slowly, just shifting back and forth. There are spots in the middle where the grungs like point at and poke aggressively for you to move around. And then as you continue through, you see that there are a couple more things in here that seem to be um wounds. One particular that you find interesting is a set that is really not completely bones, and as you are passing it, you can see that it's half covered in rotting flesh, half covered in bone, and it's got that triangle on its forehead, and it's reaching out towards you, but it seems to be stuck in the middle of this wall, unable to get itself unattached as the wall then shifts and pulls it away from you. Other than that, you see a couple of bones that are human, and then a couple of small reptiles' bones, like velociraptors, like you encountered earlier, and things like that.
Yeah, she's just kind of like pointing at them as we go. And like just like saying species. She like stops for a minute at that weird rotting corpse thing. Is the implication that it was like it died there frozen in outreach, or is
Well,
the
it's still
implication
moving.
that
It's like actively
it was
moving
alive?
towards you. Yeah, alive
The
isn't really the term I would use, but it's moving.
Yeah, it's undead. The triangle guys, we fought the first time. Those were the guys that got rid of Zephyr's eyeball, right?
Yep.
Cool. They're also the guys that we're going to go find, presumably. So that's noteworthy. Um, I mean, I guess it doesn't super matter, but she'll like take note of this bend in the passage, or like this connection, this area of thorns that came in to cover the old ones as the shifting happened. To the best of her ability as this maze continues to change around. She doesn't stop naming things, like she doesn't seem particularly outwardly affected by that. But Raynor does walk closer to her for the rest of the thing as we walk towards the center, presumably.
Don't like this.
Yeah, you walk around and it seems to be generally you're generally staying within an area, and it takes you about 15 minutes, but it's incredibly disconcerting. Like you swear all of you at some point you hear like more than once you hear the groaning sounds of undead creatures coming from in here as you continue to pass through. These grungs, however, seem to know exactly where they're going, exactly where to avoid, and despite like the shifting foliage all around you and just the general feel of this magical space around you, you finally go through this just little archway and you enter into a new space. Now, out in front of you, you can see that there is a lake, and around that lake, you see that there are dozens of reed huts. There are ferns that are lying everywhere. Inside of the lake, you see little plaids all around, just floating there. And then in the center of this lake, you see that there is a large 60-foot shrine made of painted mud bricks that looks like massive frog. And then the belly of this gigantic frog is flat, and you can see that there's a doorway that is carved into there. And then standing on that door by the doorway, you can see that there are several of these small grungs, and they are bright orange, carrying short bows. Then as you come out, you see that four green ones immediately come out carrying spears. But when they see the orange one in front of you, whose name is, they nod, and then the rest of the grungs move forward, moving towards that center shrine.
I gladly accompany them.
I do not. I do, but not gladly.
I
I will.
hesitantly.
Just
Yeah, I will get out one of my hand axes as low keyly as possible.
They make me a
Yeah.
sleight of hand check if you want to keep that sneaky.
Okay. But if they get mad at me, I'm a warrior. That's what I do, man. You can't get
Yeah,
mad
there
at
you
me.
go. That's
Come
your
on.
alibi.
Oh no, I got a 9.
Oh boy.
You can't get mad at me for being prepared to fight when you heavily imply I'm gonna fight something.
So yeah, I got a
All right.
9.
All right, so with a 9, yeah, you're not all that sneaky about it. You kind of just like reach down and go to pull one out, and then as you do, you see that especially the four new ones all point spears at you and poke aggressively.
Whoa.
As they do that, I pull my hand drum out and just start like singing generic tones and playing the drum to try to distract them from it. And like whisper, play along, play along.
Cassandra starts singing as well.
Okay, Nephis will grab the hand axe, but she'll hold it like this and pretend it's a guitar. And then
Yes. Dread the
I'm
end.
gonna say
Performance.
Jasper and Nephis, go ahead and make me. Jasper, you can do a performance or a deception. Nephis, do a deception check for me.
Okay.
Just straight up
Can I help
lying.
Jasper?
Oh my
Since
god.
I'm singing, can I have that used?
Yeah, you are helping, or they would have disadvantage.
Oh, great.
I got an 8.
We're just rolling real good tonight.
I know,
Can
I'm rolling
I
so
have
good.
bardically inspired Nephis on that?
Sure.
What do I add to that again?
That's a great question. What is my
D8.
current?
So
Yeah, it's a
D8?
D8. I got a 17.
Oh my gosh. No, it's a 9. I'm not a good deceiver, okay? I can
It's
fight,
okay.
but I can't.
Yeah, they don't seem to
Nephis wears her
be.
heart on her hand axe.
They don't seem to be particularly deceived by this, and they still gesture towards you to
Not
put it
like
back
that.
down.
Not like that.
Okay, well, what do you want me to do now? I already have it out. You want me to put it back?
Just march along.
I was still walking. I never stopped.
Just
I
march.
was trying to be prepared.
Stop walking. Start marching. Left.
Okay,
right,
I'm marching
left,
now.
Right. Yes.
They're still pointing at you. They want you. They're like poking
Put
at
the
you.
axe away. Just put the axe away.
I'll put it back very slowly and I glare at all of them.
If
One
we
by
need
one.
it,
This is going
we
awesome.
will have the reaction time to grab it, I'm sure. Let's just
Will we?
see where this goes.
Will we?
Yes.
The
You
way I've
have
been
before.
rolling. The way I've been rolling, we never know. I'm just saying.
All right, so you continue forward until you reach the edge of this pond. There's ridge, obviously. The grung in front of you just jump quickly from lily pad to lily pad until they reach the end, and then poke at you. You can hear the one just in the distance, like, and he gestures. He's like,
Literally have no idea what you're saying,
What did
Scott.
you
He just
say?
said, come here.
Ah.
Cool.
So to clarify, because I can understand what you said, but I cannot comprehend it. There is a bridge and the lily pads.
There is no bridge.
It's just the lily pads.
It's
Just
just the
the
lily
lily
pads. So there's
Okay,
this
second
big
question. Does it
frog
seem like the
statue in
lily
the
pads
lake.
could be able to hold my weight?
Your weight? No.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. This might be a problem.
Oh boy.
How deep is the pool?
You can't really tell. It's somewhat murky as all water is in Chult.
I throw a rock.
Oh yeah, also I'm blind. I
Are we
can't
still
I
carrying our
can't tell the depth
canoes?
of water. I see the surface of the water and that's it.
Yeah, what's up with
You
our canoes?
you did still bring them with you, I assume.
See,
Yeah,
I should have
so we
taken
can use the
enlarge
canoes.
reduce. Dang it.
I have
don't
it.
Small
think
div,
worked.
and then
Small dude.
Just say the word. I can make div giant. I can make div little. Whatever we want.
No,
we may need
no.
to make him tiny. It may
I
not
s-
be very. He may not consent to that though.
I'm not
My
making div
memory,
tiny. He doesn't want it.
Mirasandra, my memories may not be very good. However, I do still remember what happened last time, and I would like not a repeat of that.
All right.
We
But
can
that
just
was
Do we have our? Did we bring our canoes with us?
yeah, we did. We can just
Did-
get in the canoes.
We just get in the canoe and paddle across.
That is true. I mean, assuming they didn't like take the
Confiscate,
canoes from us,
yeah.
we've just been carrying them.
No, they did not. Yeah, so you just have them. And so you pile in your canoes and get across. The one quarter behind you are like poking at you, poking towards you with their spears as you get on and the canoes, and then you go across this area. And this pond isn't necessarily massive, like this lake type area. It's not the biggest settlement you've ever seen, but it is still a decent size, probably roughly the same size as the fort that you'd been in before, but a very different structure. And you go across to the front of this shrine, a massive frog that just rises incredibly tall into the air, and there are a set of steps that leads up on this small island to the front entryway of this place.
Keep going.
Everybody just chill out. They haven't
Yeah.
been hostile here yet.
Yeah.
What do we do?
All right,
Make our way
so
up the steps.
you head up the steps and then you enter into this doorway. I assume that's what you're doing, unless you want to dramatically pause at the head of the steps, I guess.
Unless there's a reason to, not really.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I
Yeah,
think
so
our
you can
plan
see
is
that there's
still
like
the
a
same.
that goes around the actual frog statue itself, but then you go inside and you can see that the interior of this statue is a large hollow room. Just inside, you can see that there is a clear pool of water that Div, you don't really know how deep it is, but from the rest of you, you can see that it's about 5 feet deep. And the way that you can see that is because there are phosphorescent fungi that illuminate this whole chamber with light in here, with a dreamy hue to it. Then you can see that there are a couple of different colored grung which are messing around with fungi and poking around with it in and also tossing flower petals into this pool. On at the back of this shrine area, you can see that there is a large basin of water with steps leading up to it, and then sitting in the basin, you can see a grung with gold skin, and then on this grung's brow there is a golden circlet, and there's and standing crouching next to him, you can see Rourke, that orange-skinned grung, as well as on the other side, a red-skinned grung, which you could only describe as being, you would guess it would have to be old, would be the term to describe this grung. They're perched on the edge of this pool with an old gnarled stick that looked like it was just picked up from somewhere. and all of their skin seems to be loose and dangling from a thin frame that all grungs have.
Hmm.
Do the green frogs around us take any action to show like deference to this thing in any way? Like, do they bow or kneel or anything like that?
They do. So as you come in, they all kneel to the golden frog.
I do that too.
I also do that.
I poked Ezra. I'm like, King Frog. King Frog.
I know, but just yes, Neil.
I guess I do too.
Zephyrus
That's
has one
like
thought,
looking
and it's
at the
King
ground.
Frog.
Zephyrus is looking at the ground and questioning what his life has come to.
When we're not surrounded by super deadly, probably poisonous frogs, this would be hilarious.
Probably. Just probably. Everything in this jungle is poisonous.
Not true.
So-
Some of them are venomous.
That
No,
turtle
that's true.
probably wasn't.
He
might
The one grung in front of you, as you guys are like whispering to each other, he yells, "Stop! This is the king."
Hello.
You speak.
King.
Go off, King.
And then the king hasn't said anything yet, but you hear the king lets out this like several long throat directed towards you, and Sandra, oddly enough, you think you understand a couple of those crows. Not the whole picture, but you catch a croak that sounds something like welcome, and then you catch what you think is the word warriors and the word ritual in there. And it just keeps going, but the words kind of escape you beyond that.
She kind of raises her head. She goes, "See, I knew you looked like someone I met once. Guys, he welcomes us warriors, something ritual, nothing we haven't heard before. And I look for it. Which is the one that told us to shut up? And the king?
The same one who had talked to you earlier.
Oh, it's our
Sandra's met King Frog.
And she leans in and she says, would you perhaps be able to tell him that we don't know really what he's saying? Never mind, don't worry about it. And she sort of stands up and does her best to sort of she thinks fast about the syllables of the croaking noises that she's heard so far, and tries to stitch together like a thank you, like a we're honored sort of a vibe.
So after you do this, the king doesn't really say anything, and then quietly, which isn't really, kind of a cooking language, quiet, like the grung can't really whisper, but it's kind of like a lower grumble in their throats, as confers with the red-skinned one next to him, and then continues to speak, and you catch something that you think must be a name, in implication of respect, maybe. You're not sure if it's that the king has respect for them or if the king is telling you to give respect to them. And then something along the words of like magic user. And then the king gestures towards the red frog.
So that and Mirisandra leans in towards everyone else. She says, "Okay, so that frog's magic, and we should be nice to it."
I planned on being nice to all of them.
Yeah, just continue doing that. She kind of bows again. And then she's gonna cast.
Mira Sandra. Really quick, while Mira Sandra is like gearing up to respond to her best ability in Grung again, Div kind of like he's bowed down, he's got his arms over his chest in the salute that he knows. He is going to kind of wrap his tail around and like tap her like on the back with his tail, and I'm gonna cast tongues again. So now she should be able to just talk to them.
Oh, great. Hold on, let me look that up just so that I have.
That means that Mirasandra can understand any language that he hears, right? And then anything can understand what Mirasandra says.
Oh,
Yes.
great.
Nice.
As long as they understand the language, they know what Mirasandra says.
She kind of raises her handful of those like little spikes, and she says, she uses like her tinkering ability to just like make them glow for a second, as she's like bidding thanks to that magic user. She says, a few of us too have skills like that. I'm sure we have much to learn from you. Thanks for inviting us here. I'm not quite sure I caught your name.
This one steps down and says, "My name is Farouk," which I don't know if I'll spell it for you later. Not that that would help.
Great.
Here you
It's
can.
got, it's got an R and a U, just like everything else.
Grung's spelling is easy. Farouk for you.
Oh, that's a cute one. I like that.
Of course, there's an apostrophe in it. Why wouldn't there be? It's fantasy.
Apostrophes are cool.
No, they're not.
Yes,
The
they are.
the breath in Grung. Thank you very much. Don't you dare insult the Grung language, Cameron.
Don't you mean Cameron? There's a breath in there.
It's not a breath. You can pronounce your name in Grung.
I'm gonna start putting
um,
apostrophes in Jasper just to confuse everybody and put it in a different spot every time.
It's fair.
Jasper.
You just sound like
Like
you're gonna
hyperventilating.
sneeze.
Yes.
Okay, so
Always going to
this one says, "Your mastery of Grung is impressive for strangers."
Full credit goes to my friend here. She just fit Div, who is using like you might have heard me mention earlier. Some of us do have magic. He is using magic to allow me to speak to you. It was a very, very welcome gift on his part, but all full credit. I have not learned this language. I'm working on it. But I might be getting better. You know, exposure is always good, but I'll keep you updated on that front. Right now, it's just purely magic that allows me to communicate with you.
You picked the chatterbox to let them talk, Div?
No one else was speaking.
I can't understand them.
Mirasandra seems to be able to.
Mirasandra, you can now that you have this, you can kind of read in that expression a little bit visible displeasure at the others talking in the presence of the king. The spears are then pointed and leveled directly at your head, Jasper, which for them is like reaching really far up. But and they are going to, and the king stands up and says, "Me in my court."
Literally did not hear a word you said.
He said you will respect me in my court.
Oh, great. Mirasandra sort of slowly reaches over and puts her hand between the closest spear tip and Jasper's head. And she says, he doesn't like you chatting in his court, so zip zip.
Tell him my apologies, but any hostile intent towards me, you lose your warriors.
My friends would like to communicate that they're sorry. They didn't understand the rules of communication in your presence, honorable one. It will not happen again. What can we do for you?
And he says, "Farouk will tell you how to perform the ritual.
Okay. She
Thumbs up.
she like nods, glances around, and then like shuffles so that she's facing the red frog.
And then the red frog gestures and she says, we must go, and I must show you what this ritual signifies. And you see the guards go to come with you, and then this frog gestures with the staff and says, "Stay behind. I will talk to these strange warriors on my own."
He's gonna give us a demonstration.
We are about to get sacrificed by a frog. I'm not-
It's okay. If I've proven anything, I will kill all of us before they get a chance to.
Sandra nods, and starts like I'll follow. I'll like gesture to the others and follow this frog in any direction.
This is awesome.
So this frog takes you around the back of this island, just walking around along this thin path, which is sized for grungs. So you are kind of all having to like squish your feet to stay on, as the path is only about 2 feet wide. And she takes you all the way around the backside until you are opposite of the doorway, and then she turns towards you and she says, I specifically told the king to request you because a ritual of his well,
The ritual of his will not work.
Oh, Marisandra's eyebrows go shooting up. She's like, "Oh well."
They're like a cartoon. They just keep going.
Yeah, no, they disappear into her hairline and then continue above her ears, and which are like now standing straight up. She says, "Well, this just got a lot more interesting. Why us? And what ritual? And what are we gonna do instead?"
Are you going to sacrifice us? Because I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to decline.
Zephyrus, you have no idea what she said. You don't
Okay,
understand a
yeah.
word of it. You just heard croaking, and then Mirasandra responded in the same croaking.
Mira, are you going to sacrifice us?
I'll let you know as soon as I understand what's going on.
Okay.
Don't
And this turns towards you and says, the king wants to summon the goddess Nang Nang. Now, he doesn't just want to summon her, he is a great admirer of the goddess. If you take my meaning, he desires to be more than just a worshipper.
He wants to marry a god?
King, honestly.
Well,
Yes.
Bit of a goblin
I
who did that once.
hope
Good for him. Good for him.
I do understand the disappointment he'll feel knowing that his dream woman is not going to be around, or dream man, I suppose.
Goddess Nang Nang is a woman.
All right, yeah, thanks for the clarification on the pronouns of the god. I appreciate that. Mirasandra like nods slowly. She says, "All right. I was gonna suggest I pretend to be a goddess, but I'm now finding that like far less of a proper solution to this problem than before. So what do you suppose we do about this whole situation?"
The king's ritual must succeed, at least in his mind. We must deceive him. You seem to be capable warriors. You were selected for that reason. If you help with this ritual and you please the king, not only will you have his favor, but I can also provide assistance to your endeavors in the jungle.
I nod. I turn around to the rest of my compatriots and relay this information. And then ask the frog, Karok, if I'm like, all right, well, we're happy to assist in this problem. It doesn't seem like we have any other choice, but it would be prudent to know what type of god this is, what expectations the king has of this god, what this god represents, any information at all. We were really trying to communicate with our fellows, our lovely escorts that you sent to kidnap us on the way here, but they were not very forthcoming on much information.
The king expects that when the goddess materializes, that she will speak words of love, praise, reassurance to him. If this happens, then the king will at least be satisfied for a time.
All right. What do we have an idea of what this goddess looks like in the king's eyes?
The goddess Nang Nang, and this old frog produces a scroll and then unfurls it, and you can see that it's carved into the staff as well. It's of a golden grung, which to you looks like a grung, but to them must look like a particularly wondrous grung.
Grungs are
Little guys.
little guys, correct?
Yes.
Are they humanoid though? Do they count?
They do not. Well, humanoids, I think they do. Yeah. Yes, they do.
They do count. Okay, 1 second. What is their size? They're small.
Yes, they're little guys. The typical grung is 3 feet tall, including this one,
Right.
who's actually a little bit below that.
Hold on. I'm checking.
Are the
some-
short kings of the jungle.
I'm just sitting back here. I wish I was level 6.
So this
1 second. Okay. Got it. Awesome. Continue. What were you gonna say?
So this frog says, I have something that will assist, but also this frog is going to need to have some form of physical substance. The king will not
Will
believe
this-
the illusion.
Will this do? And then Mirasandra's gonna change into a frog. A humanoid frog. I'm still medium sized, but I'm as small as a medium creature can get. Yeah. I do that.
Okay, so you are a small grung. And what are you doing that
I'm
with?
making
Just
myself appear as a member of another race.
all right.
Yeah.
Changeling can get up in here as a
I'm changing
grung.
it up in here, as you will.
Using the changeling abilities as they were meant to be used.
I know, insane.
Wild.
She for a moment that flower remains over her eye, and she it seems like she has to focus pretty hard to get it to fade. It's still a little bit there, just like the outline and the patterning on this golden grung skin. That's weird. Substance. Then she slaps.
We just heard croaking back and forth, and then all of a sudden Mirasandra's
Mirasandra is a golden
grung.
frog. It's just a grung now. Yeah.
Well, we can understand
Like-
everything Mirasandra is saying. We just can't understand anything that the frog is saying.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
we're hearing a Bluetooth phone communication,
Half a
and then suddenly
conversation.
Mirasandra's a frog.
That was unexpected. Did not see that coming.
Yeah, so the frog's eyes seem to bulge out a little bit, and she lets out like an involuntary croak, and she says, like, of almost like excitement, it seems. That would work absolutely. Now, are you prepared for what the ritual will require?
You have not told me much of anything about what the ritual will require.
Well, the king expects a certain amount of affection from the goddess.
Oh God.
Mirisandra sort of looks down at her frog hands, and she says, "I've tricked men before."
You
You've what before?
Tricked.
I
okay?
I'm only getting half of this conversation, and I'm not exactly sure where this is going, but pop off, Queen.
What is happening?
I became the king, which is very exciting. I've only done that once or twice in the past.
This is fantastic. I have no idea what's going on.
You said you had something that might be able to assist, as so long as the frog
Yes,
had substance.
I had. I have a particular set of paint, pigments, you could say, created from particularly rare and magical ingredients that, when they paint, they create what they depict. They do not just paint on the ground; they paint in the air as well.
In reality, that's incredible.
If any of you are a particularly skilled illustrator, I suppose if you are willing, then this will not be necessary. But if you are a particularly skilled illustrator, then we could create an image of Nang Nang.
Does the image move?
It will not live, but we could make it at least be physical enough for the king to believe the illusion.
Mirisandra looks at everyone. And is anyone a particularly skilled illustrator?
Why?
Not really.
If you're curious, that would relate to intelligence.
Ooh, hold
Oh,
on.
Yeah,
definitely not.
Nope.
Nope. Hold on, let me see. I have an intelligence of +1.
Mine's a +3, so apparently I'm the best illustrator here and the best
Damn.
frog.
And the best
apparently.
frog.
Well, I mean, does anybody know what would that be? Minor illusion or something like that?
I got prestidigitation.
Mirisandra says, what are the limits of this paint in terms of sound, in terms of movement, in terms of control? Do we give the creation orders to carry out?
It does not create sentient things, merely objects. And you can only craft what you can paint, which there is only so much. So if you were to attempt to create something too large, then you would fail. If, however, you succeed in deceiving the king that his ritual has succeeded, any remaining paint I will give you. As well as
That's
another particular object that I have to assist you humanoids to jump more like creature.
Mirasandra turns towards everyone. She says, "So if we do this right, we get some cool paint and the ability to jump pretty well, which I think is both of these objects sound incredibly worth this little detour that we're taking. How
And if we fail, we'll probably die. So,
How
sounds like a
How
deal, I
well-
guess.
can I jump? Jump pretty well.
I mean, you're a monk, so I would hope at least a little well.
Yeah.
So technically, jumping is directly related to your strength score. Your vertical jump with a 10-foot lead up is 3 plus your strength modifier, and your horizontal jump with a 10-foot lead up is your strength score.
Okay.
Oh,
So Nephis can figure this out for all of you with any
So
stuff.
can
Zephyrus, you can do some
Jasper-
janky monk things.
I got
Yeah.
hot, bro.
Nephis is, I
I-
think, stronger than you, Jasper,
by I think 1 point.
which is 2
Yeah.
feet when it comes to jump.
This is
Well,
true.
yeah.
All right, so back to the issue at hand. Do you guys want me to try to paint a frog,
Or
do you
yourself
want
going
me
to-
to seduce the king? Those seem to be our options
I
here.
think that is entirely up to you, however, how deep you want to get into this. This is up to you, my friend.
Okay, so I think it would be really, really funny if I try to seduce the frog. And also, the more I hear about this cool paint, the more I want it and all of it for our use.
Are you prepared to break the heart of a king frog?
Mirasandra has done far worse for far less.
I just worry that if you don't let him down too easily, we won't be able to leave.
My
Again, we
question
will
is,
become the bones.
Well, how long does he expect this ritual to last? I'm asking the frog witch.
Frog witch.
Forever.
The Twitch.
Karuk says, if you praise him excessively, so show some token of physical affection, and then promise your eventual return, it should be sufficient.
Mirasandra nods. She looks very thoughtful. As thoughtful as visibly a frog can.
How physical affection are we talking? A little smooch and then dip? Because these things are probably poisonous.
Oh, they're definitely poisonous, especially that one.
Yeah. Oh no.
These things are so poisonous they can make machines stop working.
That one wasn't even gold.
Yeah.
So
It was just a normal frog.
Can we ask
These are
if
not
they
normal
have, like,
frogs.
anti-poison?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask.
Because that
Do you have any experience with interacting with creatures like us in a manner that you don't intend to kill them and might perhaps have some antidote or resistance for the poison I would suffer upon making contact with any of you in any way?
Frog just kind of stares at you, like blinks its giant black eyes once, like shoots its tongue out and grabs a insect out of the air. No.
All right. Great. Well,
I can handle any poisoning that happens. Don't worry.
We could make this a spectacle. We could make this a spectacle.
I am prepared to do it. If you want to go. But
I'm just curious as to if you could ask what this ritual's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
When the goddess arrives.
God damn, this is so.
Are we supposed to have left and then return with the goddess? Or
Is there like a flashbang?
is there like a ritual that we have to perform in front of the king? What sort of proper deceptive tools do we need to make this happen?
I merely told the king that your presence would help the goddess Nang Nang approach. You will be witnesses to the ritual, so you will be close to be able to deceive in whatever way you have fit. As far as the entrance, this ritual has never been attempted or performed before, which is why I am confident that it will fail.
Oh, so all of the boons in thorn bushes were completely unrelated. Oh, oh I guess.
Well, it would look a little suspicious if we. Well, I didn't know. I didn't hear any of that. Never mind.
Yeah, that's true.
Here's something.
Never mind.
In fact, relays all this information to you. She says, "All right. I can change pretty quickly. It takes like an action.
It would be suspicious if you just disappeared, though. You were there for the ritual. The goddess appeared. You disappeared.
I can
really notice.
I'm fairly confident the frogs wouldn't notice, because they didn't seem to have any issue with
How likely are they
Div gestures
to
vaguely to Mirasandra.
How likely are they to notice if I just am not present after the ritual?
Depends on how often they've seen you and which ones you're talking about. Rogue is much more observant than Rourke, who brought you in, as I'm sure you've observed. Rogue does not have much brain power. As that of a simple warrior.
How many other grungs are going to be in the room?
Well, perhaps I have unfortunately perished in this short escapade we've taken outside. And it was sudden and unexpected, and but you all didn't know me very well, and so are not particularly broken up about it upon your return.
In order to summon the goddess, we could pretend to kill you.
I don't like that plan.
No.
I mean, that makes sense too, but
We can say that one of the catfish ate you.
That sounds perfect.
that works. I feel like they'd believe that.
So.
Okay, does anyone I've got a limited number of spell slots here, so you're gonna save me from the poison.
Yes.
I have to make contact with the frog last. Because after that point I'll have disadvantage on everything.
Yeah, I have lesser restoration and several healing spells, so you'll be fine.
Okay. Great.
I am, however, out of tongue spells slots, so you're just gonna have to make do once like an hour is up.
It's okay. She knows Grung basically at this point.
Okay, hold
I
on.
can deal with the spectacle to make it so you just don't walk through the door.
Oh, could you
I could make a
could
light.
you disguise
light
yourself
show?
as a regular Grung until we need the goddess?
That could work.
And then once the ritual begins, I can create a light show and you change in the lights
while hidden from
into the
prying
while
eyes,
hidden, yes,
and arise as the goddess.
as the goddess.
Perfect. That'll work. Great. Let's do it. She sort of
Nothing will
nods.
go wrong.
Nothing could possibly go wrong here. I am a little worried about this. This tongues thing. I'm gonna turn back to the frog sorcerer and say, would it be possible for us to rest before the ritual? As in, wait until tomorrow to perform this, cite something about being exhausted from our journey or needing time to properly develop the connections we will need to have, the presence and the power to make a connection across the planes of existence to summon this goddess.
Let me go out, grind another level real quick.
I am afraid that the king's patience is already particularly stretched. The ritual is scheduled for tonight. I could push it back an hour or two.
Dib, is there anything you, any tongues you can regain in an hour or two?
I'm trying to find that out. I
How
would
long
assume
can
so.
we? How long is until tonight specifically?
You normal type would not have enough time for a long rest. Div, I don't know the same amount of time as you do.
I'm looking it up.
I'm trying to figure out if I get spells back from a short rest.
You don't, no, but
No,
you
I
don't need a
don't.
long rest that's as long as humanoids. I believe your long rest is about 5 hours, which is about what you have.
Okay. We can make that
Dib,
work.
go to sleep right now.
Div just shuts down. He just folds.
Yeah. Okay, while Div's sleeping, then I am the rest of the crowd. So the tongues are there.
Love you.
I might be able to do some no, probably not. Sorry. You're good. I'm looking for artificer abilities here that will help. As in I can like keep a charge of tongues on me in some manner by turning it, like infusing it into an object, which seems like something I should definitely be able to do.
Definitely.
But I cannot. I cannot do that.
She cannot.
Wait, hold on. One more thing. This is so fun. Sorry, I love plans. 1 second. And my boy cast magic for me. It cannot.
No.
Great, that's fine. Cool. Okay, so an hour is better than however many times I'll need. Great. Okay, fantastic. Ritual happens, lights. I'm a frog until I'm a different frog. Shower the king in compliments. French kiss a frog, and then we're in, we're out.
We're in, we're out.
We're
So-
in, we're out.
I have a question.
Yes,
What do
Nervous?
we do if this doesn't work?
That's
Well,
a
I
good.
would presume they will feed us to the maze.
Pick your
So, I
favorite
would
god and begin
prefer-
praying.
That didn't happen.
Let's
And since I
Let's also have an escape plan for the situation in which this doesn't work.
yes, and I vote it involves me pummeling multiple frogs.
Is
I
Azaka
think-
with us?
Yes, she's there.
How is she taking all this?
We look over and it's just the tired Ben Affleck meme.
Yeah, Azaka's just kind of just like staring around at this, she's like shaking her head at this whole situation, but she's just like she's just given up at this point.
So
Doing
fair.
anything. She's just here.
I hope she's doing well.
She like whispers to Nephis. She says, "I've never let a girl live long enough to have any of this nonsense go on before."
Nephis will
Marathon.
say, I think we should just, you know, but I'm going along with it. It's okay. So
As much as I enjoy your love for violence,
I wouldn't
I
call
do
it a
not
love.
think
It's a complicated relationship.
I
Div, you're sleeping.
regardless, I do not think we can handle an entire city of frogs. We could barely handle a small hunting group of frogs.
Don't listen
Since
to Div,
last
he's
time,
asleep.
I feel a little bit different. I will say, I'm not gonna say why, but I think if there was a select group that we could fight and then escape, I would probably be okay.
This in front of like a hostile creature or who may become hostile if threatened.
I mean, she can't understand us.
Yeah, she can't understand what you're saying. She can't understand what you're saying, Sandra. She kind of like slams her staff on the ground, taps it a couple times, and she says, "This conversation is entering into suspicious time.
Yes,
You have
sorry.
your
We are
plan?"
just worried. Yes, we do have a plan. We're just worried about what happens if the situation may arise where the plan does not work.
Then I suggest you run very quickly.
That's what I'm going to ask you about, actually. Those leaping things that you did so mention, would they perhaps aid us in an attempt to escape if we are pursued? Like, could we leap over these walls is what I'm getting at here.
Her eyes kind of narrow a little bit, and she says, "If you fail, I will not help you escape. I brought you here for one purpose." And this is where you kind of
Oh,
see like the in the eyes behind the facade that these creatures do not care about you at all.
Yeah.
And she says, "If you accomplish the task, you will be given what I promised. I will keep my word. If not, you have found nothing and will receive nothing."
Fair enough. Honor's honor.
Zephyrus like leans over to Nephis and is just like, I'm with you on the pummeling. But don't make any sudden moves or any threatening moves until it's necessary. We gotta come up with what's like a code word? We have a
I mean, they
word.
can't understand us, so for us, a code word is whatever. They're not
That's
gonna know.
Is run.
More fun to have a code word though.
Hold on, I'm checking
I-
something again.
Could just be get him.
Get
Get him.
Get them.
Sick of
That works for me.
Okay, this is not in character. This is not a character. I'm not saying these words out loud. We did find out via Azaka that causing specific unfortunate states of physical being to the grung in charge does in fact cause some events to happen. So maybe we wouldn't, in the case of the worst happening.
In case of emergency, commit regicide.
In case of emergency, kill King, kill Wizard, and run. Or at least try to run first, and then if we do have to kill someone, focus efforts on killing King. But again, hopefully, all going well. I can seduce a frog effectively enough for us to get this big loot and
I'm so excited.
I knew I couldn't say no to running this particular part of Cholt. Anyway,
I'm terrified.
Well, either it works or it doesn't, and it's like the rest of Chult. So,
Yep.
All right, I turn to the wizard and I fill her in on our plan A. I leave out all details of our non-existent plan B.
she says, "Good. Now jump into the pond.
What?
Jump into the water. You're faking your death, aren't you? You're faking your death."
I'm faking my death. Mirasandra turns back into Mirasandra, loudly screams, water.
All right, so yeah,
No.
you hit the water with a splash, and then down from you can see Mirasandra several very large catfish, about the size of a grung, and nudge your not unconscious body as you hit the water, which you can all see up top as they kind of like splash up for globs of air and then come back down. And then the Wangrung stares at the water, shakes her head slowly, and then says something that the rest of you have no idea what it means at all, and then starts walking back.
Great. I'm gonna stay down there as long as possible. I know the 5e rules for holding your breath are absolutely ridiculous. So I stay down there for like 3 minutes.
They are, in
like,
fact, utterly ridiculous. What's your con score?
It's a 12.
So you have 2 minutes of just being fine before you start before you start to even need to make con saves
Yeah.
to avoid asphyxiation.
That's insane.
It is insane. And if this were an aquatic campaign, those would not be the rules, but it's not. So they don't come in they don't matter that often.
Yeah.
Great. Once once it's safe, I guess I'm gonna turn into a grung, just like a normal green one, and like swim over and try to peek above the water a little bit to see if the coast is clear.
Div is still
You think the
standing
coast
there.
is pretty clear. You see that there are a couple of huts. Yeah, Div is standing there in like powered down mode.
Well, Div is like sitting there and he's like meditating, but also really, really stressed. Like he is like looking roughly at where the water was, where all the catfish were stirring it up, and like gripping his medallion really tightly and like tapping it along with the beat of his core, just like waiting.
He's like technically asleep, right?
He's technically in an inert state.
Okay, I'm gonna make my way over there as nondescriptly as possible. There's no other frogs around, right? It's just our friends.
A lot. So it's just like a full village.
Oh, okay.
They're mostly on the edges. There's like the lily pads. There's the pond. You're in the middle of the pond that you jumped off of, and then most of them are on these reed huts on the outside of it.
Okay, can I roll a stealth check to get out of the water unseen then?
Yeah, go for it.
Great.
I will give you advantage because you are a grung, and grungs aren't really that sus of other grungs.
Okay, great. I got a 15.
15? Okay. Yep, you slide out, and it seems like the grungs going about their daily tasks don't really seem to pay any attention to you sliding out of the water.
Great. I hop on over to where Div is, and just kind of put a scale, like a little a moist frog hand on his shoulder just for a second. And then I'll say, adventure just like the good old days. And then just like kind of softly, if a frog can smile, I do that. And then hop back away into nondescript. I try to do nondescript frog tasks after reassuring.
Okay, Mirasandra, go ahead and make me a performance check. And then
Like,
also just be aware that even though you technically look smaller, your weight is still the same. So jumping on those pads like you tried and it sunk immediately.
okay, great.
You're also you can only get down to 4 feet, so you're a very tall grung,
I'm a
which
very tall
works
guy.
fine when you're a goddess, but
Yeah, I'm trying to like, posture wise and everything, keep myself hunched over.
like a grung, yeah.
Yeah, if I can find a way to just like get near water or like submerge myself up to my like knees or whatever in water to give the impression that I'm shorter. I do all those necessary things. I'm gonna roll a performance. Wee! Mirasandra's good at this. 17.
17. Okay, yeah, Mirasandra, you go about. The rest of you are shown by Karuk to just a little corner to wait in. Through gestures, she manages to convey that the ritual is going to take place in the room that you were originally in. And specifically, it's going to happen in that pond, that shallow water with all of the glowing fungi in there, which was being prepared for this particular.
Great.
And it's going to happen at night. So as you go over and you sit off to the side, it kind of gets later. You get used to the sounds of the insects that are flitting around here and of grungs eating those insects and of them just moving around and choking. You catch a couple glimpses of you see what seems to be grung children that are this gray-green color that looks different from any of the adults that you've seen standing maybe a foot tall, but probably not quite. And they're just like little, and there's a bunch of them that like hop around, jumping with each other, poking at each other.
I'm gonna cry. I love frogs. Like so
Before
much.
before they comes down and it starts to get darker, and then their parents usher them inside their reed huts, and then you see that fires start to get lit around the village as the sun starts to descend below the tree line off in the distance, and as they do, these grungs come in from seemingly everywhere. Some of them come in through the maze, hunting parties that had left and come back in the day. And they all start to gather in on lily pads and around lily pads, all facing this pond area, facing towards this massive statue. And inside of this massive statue, you can start to see that coming just from the doorway is this purplish blue green light that's shifting and mixing from all of the fungi as the ritual is ready to begin. And we will stop there for tonight.
You're gonna kiss a frog.
We will see you all next week.
Believe that I'm doing this.